Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today's guest is Mr. Guillermo Dufranc, who is a project manager for Tridimage. How are you, Guillermo?
Hi, Cory. I'm very pleased to be here with you and in your podcast that I love to listen to. And I
Well,
also
thank you.
love your videos on TikTok. I'm a huge fan of your work. Thank you for spreading the word regarding packaging and sustainability.
Thank you, sir. And I'm enjoying your book. You're an author three times over, I believe. And thank you so much for sending me that. We'll talk about that later, but I wanted to kind of go over your background a little bit. I've read at least the first third of the book, so I know a little bit more about your background now, but I want to hear it from you.
Okay, it's great. It's great. Well, I'm a graphic packaging designer that has fallen in love with packaging design. Since I was a kid, I loved Fido Dido, the character for 7 Up. And I
Yeah.
wanted to work on the same kind of job that created that character. I remember asking my brother, who did that? What is the job that
Yeah.
creates that? Now I know that it's more on the side of illustration since the character was mainly animated in advertisements, but there was something about the simplicity and work of synthesis that it's clearly related to packaging design. The power
Yes.
of simplicity and persuasion is probably what I like most of packaging design.
Yeah. I agree. It's an amazing interaction with people, and that I think is a kind of a lost art sometimes on some. But your background in advertising and marketing and design is long and impressive. So well done. Tell us about what motivated you to write this amazing book, Packaging to Save the Planet. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it, but it's a beautiful cover. I'm assuming you designed that as well.
I did. I did everything myself.
Well, tell us about it. What started that process?
Well, I think it started 15 years ago when I went to Patagonia on holiday with my family. We rented a quaint little house on a hill, very, very picturesque. And they asked me to separate organic and inorganic waste for the first time in my life. So we started doing the same at home because I constantly went to the same place on holiday.
Yeah.
So we get used to do that. So we said, okay, we can do that every day in our lives. It's not so difficult. And then I started, well, I firstly, I realized how problematic was to find the correct way to manage different types of materials. And there was not, the infrastructure was not ready to do that.
Right.
Imagine 15 years ago was completely different. Maybe it's not so different than nowadays, but it
Surprisingly,
was
no.
it was hard because nobody could understood what I was doing. So I started reading a lot about sustainability. I bought so many books, and recently in the last 2 years there was a boom of books regarding packaging and sustainability, which
Yes.
is great. And I am so happy to be part of the ones that are aware or concerned about the need of transformation of the packaging industry and also a society, because I think it's a combo. So I took some courses in the last 2 years, learned a lot with dozens of interviews I did during the pandemic in 2020. I quite can say that it saved my life with when I started my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from a lot of people of different areas, like architectures, or engineers, or water treatment. A lot of things far beyond sustainability in packaging
Right.
directly. So I decided to put everything together in a book. I talked about my vision on what is sustainability regarding packaging, because we tend to simplify things. This is green, this is environmentally friendly,
Right.
this is sustainable. So it's quite hard to find the right words sometimes, or understand what do you really want to say when you say that.
Yes.
So I also wanted to uh, put in front of the challenges we are facing. It's not, the industry has not been shaped because we want it to be that way. It's the way it was most convenient for the industry and for us as consumers, our human beings. So I don't think it's nobody's fault. It's we are all responsible in
Yeah.
certain ways of the way that. But I think the good news is that now we are aware, because Romans used to have landfills with amphirs, some waste. So this is not new, but in the scale we are doing this is not sustainable. Okay, so we have to change this in terms of industry and society. And I also wanted to give examples what other companies are doing to be sustainable, and also wanted to reflect on habits and provide ideas to put in practice, not only at home but in your daily life. Because I think if you care enough about sustainability in your life, you will know what to do at your work.
Yes.
It's not something that you can study and do in the office, and then you go home and you have a completely different
Right.
behavior. So I think it's good to be part of your daily thoughts, and you will understand what the real problem is.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's a yes or a no. Do you want to do this or not? And of course, there's lots of gray in the middle, but I think we can all learn from each other. I want to quickly read a passage from your book, if that's okay.
Right.
Packaging is not more or less sustainable, but rather has a greater or lesser environmental impact. I thought that was that hit me. And I want you to speak towards that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, everything we do has an impact,
Right.
we like it or not. We are aware of it or not. So sometimes words tend to sound better than it's in reality. So we think this packaging is really very sustainable. I know that we need to get messages quickly to the audience, and they have to understand what are we saying. But in the book, having some time to reflect and to write on that, I wanted to go deeper in that, because we need to think about how to make less impact.
Yep.
Not just because we are shifting for a monomaterial or I don't know, or reusable scheme.
Yep.
This is sustainable. Okay, this has lesser impact than other practices, and this is improving, this is good, but it's maybe never will be enough. This is a path, and when you start walking, you never stop walking in that way.
That's
so I
Yep.
think that I read there's a quote in the book that we have to keep in mind that sustainability is going to take us forever.
Yeah. That's there's no finish line. I love that, and I fully agree with you. But it's not something all of the sudden, because we
Mhm,
made this change, we're sustainable now. No,
mhm,
it's a continuous journey. It's like life. I learn something new every single day, and I love it. I love
mhm.
absorbing information and reading books like yours and improving the quality of life for my kids someday by my actions. And you're exactly right. Every day is a step towards the right direction if you take it.
It's like a compass that will help you to make the right choices and decisions according to your perspective. There's not right or wrong. It's just what you consider most appropriate and what suits best the situation, the context, the economic situation, the technological capabilities. It's a
Yep.
balance that you have to make. There's not one magic solution. So I think the key is a combination of things, because we have to tend to think that there's only one answer for everything. And I
Yeah.
think that the answer is as many answers as we can get. And the
Right.
combination of all of them will be a better future than trying to solve things in just one way.
Right. Yeah. And I was hoping that you could just give a couple of ideas for companies.
Mhm.
People always ask me, how can we be more sustainable? So, what are maybe an example or two of things that have worked in your experience?
Sure. There are many things to do, and that's what is more exciting and also overwhelming because my God, can we start? Okay, we have the most long journey starts with the smallest step. So, firstly, the best practice I think is to map what the company and start thinking about asking yourself what we are doing, what we are really doing, what do materials come from, are what are the environmental impact of the materials of the activities we are doing, what is the potential of improvement, because sometimes someone is obsessed for shifting a material and maybe the greater impact is not in that material, maybe it's in the use of the package or in transportation. It's good to analyze what has more impact on the activity, on the overall activities, and start doing things on what you can reduce most. Ideally, conducting an LCA or life cycle assessment. However, there are some principles like eliminating problematic materials that we know that have potential, that are potentially harmful, reduce unnecessary items that it's full of examples every day. You can explain, if you ask for a coffee and a muffin, you get 6 or 7 recyclable materials, and we have no explanation for that behavior. So it's very easy to start in that way because you start reducing. It's not more expensive than than what you are doing now. Considering more materials in terms of technological advances, we are a bit restrained sometimes, but sometimes not. Sometimes it's just shifting a material to another, and that's the trick. It's not, okay, we are shifting, now we are sustainable. Okay, now we have to improve how the material is recovered to introduce post-consumer recycled materials, considering the standardization of certain shapes or sizes that you can have less resources or buy less. It's not just a question of spending more. Also increase the probability of recycling, of using materials that are more probable to be recycled. Also, there's some times we are thinking a lot about the carbon footprint, that it's okay, but sometimes that provides some kind of paralysis because we don't know what to do, and it looks like we can't do anything. We are doomed. Okay.
That's a good point.
So I think we have to be positive about what we are doing is trying to help. And I am more on the side to start doing and change on the way you are doing, and not freezing because you don't know what to do.
Right. Don't let fear stop your progress. Take one step, like you said, one step in the journey. This is a journey. This is a daily journey, a lifelong journey towards sustainability. And like you said, there's no finish line, unfortunately, but we can all work together to affect positive change. I absolutely agree. That's wonderful.
We are going to fail in some way. We don't have to fear. Okay, we are making decisions. We are not 100% sure if the decisions are good, but we have to do something and learn from what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good segue to the next question. What do you recommend to consumers? How can we, as consumers, be a part of the solution?
As consumer, we all have some kind of responsibility of buying products according to what we are planning to do with the package on post-consume situation. That was really changed my way of seeing packaging since I started sorting waste and started thinking, okay, where do I have to take this? So when I was in front of on the store in front of the shelf, I started thinking, okay, I am not buying this because I don't know what to do with this after I use it. So that's the first question I think we have to make. We can all make small steps and don't have to be perfect, and probably we will never win. Well, we need to avoid disposable materials. We should try to reuse and refill whenever it's possible, and it's not that hard, really. When you start only with one thing, with one shampoo or
Yep.
soap or rice. I don't know. There's lots of examples. It's just to look around the corner where the stores that are near you, that they will surely offer bulk products. So that okay, you may say a film of a package of rice is nothing. Okay, it's nothing, but it's like a philosophy. Okay,
Yep.
I start with only one rice packet, but then I start with others and other things. That's the first start. I wanted to say,
That's
okay,
okay.
I think we can also start supporting the small businesses that are looking for something different. That's the
Yep.
great way to find at least different kinds of products, and I think that is what makes the big companies change and shift, because when they have enough target that they could sell a more sustainable product, they will copy or they will buy the small companies.
Right.
So it's great to start looking for what are small companies doing for this, and start trying. So I started with solid personal care, shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, paste. They save a lot of energy caused by transport because they are smaller. They don't have water. So maybe that's not what we think it's a sustainable packaging,
Right.
but it has lesser impact because of the energy you need to transport those goods. So
Yep.
that's more sustainable than not doing
We
that.
call that voting with your dollars, and that's so key to this whole thing.
Mhm.
When the bigger companies realize, oh, people want this kind of packaging, they want, a more sustainable option, they're going to start making it, and they're going to stop making the one that's worse for the planet, which is great.
And we also can pick when we are considering sorting waste, we are choosing wisely, easy to recycle materials, or materials we know that are better paid, like aluminum. It's a crime that aluminum cans are rolling in the streets. It's a crime. So I think we all can do some really small, and it's the first step that makes you do the second one, and then you will never stop.
I absolutely agree. And it's uplifting to me to hear someone who has the same philosophy. So thank you. I wanted to get your wisdom on a kind of packaging that started to surface lately. It's called compostable packaging. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like it's a better option than recyclable or reusable?
I don't think it is not better, but it's no, it isn't worse. I think, like I said before, it's a combination of solutions.
Yeah.
First of all, eliminating unnecessary materials are I think it's the most urgent
Yeah.
thing we have to address.
Right.
Then reducing or reusing packages that will save the energy of recycling and will save the raw materials that we have to extract to make a new one. So it saves twice. Then recycling,
I like that.
when we reuse those containers again and again and again, it is said that bottles, the glass bottles, you have to reuse 15 or 20 times to compensate the carbon footprint they create for the manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you reuse a lot a container and you cannot reuse, you should recycle. And then we have compostable, I think, as the least solution, but mostly with materials that are in contact with food. I think that because sorting compostable materials and recyclable materials is impossible mostly. So
Yeah.
it's very difficult for a consumer or for a machine that is sorting materials in a separation facility,
Yep.
that you cannot tell the difference. Maybe you can put a big billboard like the bags that say, "I am not plastic." Okay, you are plastic, but you're plastic from towels or
Yeah.
bio based. materials, but it's really hard to sort. And if it is hard to sort different types of plastics, paper, metal, glass, imagine if you have to sort compostable. So compostable packages will be great for food, and when you can compost in a closed loop, and you make sure you don't mix compostable with technical materials. In an ideal
Right.
world, we should have two different ways of sorting materials: organic or biological materials, technical or industrial materials. So
Right.
if we can put those streams separately, we can consider compostable materials for organic waste to produce at great scale clean energy, because they have the potential. So if we have a problem with food waste nowadays, that is terrible, and we can put that waste into and transform it into clean energy, and we use compostable packages because some way spoil recyclable materials because of the organic waste. Okay, compostable could go that in that way, but I am not 100% sure that we have to make compostable materials to look like recyclable materials.
Right. Yeah,
And also there,
that's a big issue. I posted on LinkedIn, what would you do with compostable packaging? And 37% of people said they would recycle it.
yeah,
That's a problem,
that's true.
you know?
Right. There's some issues that growing food crops to produce plastics may require intensive agriculture. So
Yeah.
we don't have to think that we have should go in one way. That's what I was saying before. Is there's no one right solution. Okay, maybe we have a control agriculture. We are not sure. We are not in doing deforestation. Okay, maybe that's okay. But degradation of compostable requires certain conditions that do not exist in landfills. So we need facilities.
Right.
Nowadays we don't have it. I think we should have it, but nowadays we don't have it.
Right.
And the third, what concerns me most, is that compostable plastic can spoil recyclable plastic. So
Yes.
that's why I don't buy a lot the idea of making similar packages of compostable materials. So I
Yeah.
think for
It's confusing. Yeah.
food service, it's okay. And we should be really careful to throw all compostable materials with organic waste. For in food service, I think it's the most reasonable scenario for that.
Yeah. It makes sense to have a compostable tray that you put food in. I agree, because that then you, when you're done, the scraps and the tray go into the compost bin. But you're right, we're not there yet, and there's so much work to be done. There's so many steps needed to get to a place where we can fully industrially compost everywhere. That will take a lot of time.
Yes, but I think it's a great idea to provide clean energy and because I don't trust in home compost, because not everybody wants to compost.
Right.
Not everybody wants to sort waste. Not everybody throw waste into the bins. So
Yep.
we can't expect so much for humanity.
We are asking a lot, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. We had
Yeah.
to make things simpler.
No, well, thank you so much, Guillermo. This has been amazing. Can you tell us how to get a hold of you? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Well, I am very active on LinkedIn because
Yeah.
I don't feel so alone. Thanks to people like you, Evelio, and Adam. I feel that there's a great community there.
Yeah.
And we support each other, and I think it's great. And we are trying to find the way together. I think it's the only way we can do this. So in LinkedIn is the best way, and also at the website of the design agency, Tridimage.com. And in my social media, I mostly speak Spanish. So if there's a Spanish listeners, you can check me in my Instagram profile, where I share thoughts and the videos I do for the YouTube channel. So, well, the YouTube channel is also a place, but I speak mainly Spanish. So I will start doing
And
videos in English.
what's that called, Guillermo?
YouTube.com
Yep.
slash Guillermo Dufranc.
Okay.
Guillermo
Just your
Dufranc.
name. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it is
Uh,
just my name.
Easy to find. I'll put links to all this in the show notes, and make sure you check out Packaging to Save the Planet. This is a great book. Highly recommend it. And again, thank you, Guillermo. Really, really appreciate your wisdom and your friendship.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. And thank you, Landsberg Aurora, for sponsoring this podcast. We truly appreciate it. If you're listening, take a minute to subscribe and give us a review. Thanks, everybody.